In this review, you'll be listening to the Rode Videomic NTG going into my Sony a7 III. For the first time, this message and the TLDR scream section will also be recorded with the Videomic NTG, as this is the first microphone that I'm testing that is capable of being a USB microphone. Tilder! What is this? This is the Rode Videomic NTG. How much does it cost? Approximately $250. It's got a stepless gain control knob. It can output a safety track. It's got 30 hours of battery life. Yes, I actually tested it. You can use it as a USB mic as you're listening to right now. It's super sensitive for cameras and external recorders. Do I recommend it? If you're a beginning narrative filmmaker or YouTuber, no. You can save money with other options to get you started. If you're a seasoned YouTuber looking to upgrade your audio, or a seasoned filmmaker looking to add a shotgun mic into your existing audio kit, definitely yes. Done. Roll that intro. What's going on, everybody? You're watching Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker, where the answers comes first, the reasons come last, but we're constantly and always still learning. So today we're going to find out whether or not the Rode Videomic NTG is going to be the right solution for you and your overall filmmaking kit. I want to thank Rode for sending this out to me so I can provide you with my review today. Coming in at approximately $250, you're going to get the shotgun mic, you're going to get a smart cable that's going to be able to determine whether or not you're in a smartphone or plugged into a DSLR, which is awesome. And then lastly, you also do get a USB cable for charging purposes for the internal lithium-ion battery, but also to plug into your computer, because one of the standout features that I love about this thing is that you can use it essentially as a USB microphone / USB audio interface, because there is a headphone jack in the back, and if you select it, then yes, you are going to be able to use the headphone jack as a regular headphone jack from your computer. So that's definitely awesome. Another awesome feature, awesome, is the fact that it has this smart ability to know when to turn itself on. So if you are plugged into a DSLR, for example, basically the microphone port is going to shoot out the need for a signal or of some kind, because it thinks it's on a lavalier mic. The moment it does that, the Rode Videomic NTG wakes itself up, and then when you turn off the camera 2 seconds later, the Rode Videomic NTG turns off. That is really awesome, especially for a YouTube setup like this, knowing that all I have to do is turn it on. The microphone's going to turn on, turn off the camera, microphone's going to turn off. Now, you might be asking yourself, okay, but how would I know, what about battery life in this thing then? Because obviously I need to recharge it at some point. Well, based on my battery test, which I had a fan blowing at it the whole time, I had everything turned on. So safety track was working, which I'll talk about. Everything is turned on, completely lit up. At that point in time, it basically hit its 30-hour mark, and basically, you also have some status LED lights, which actually will give you an idea, because after 12 hours, it turned orange, and then after 24 hours or so, it turned red, and then the final hour or so, it started blinking red. So when you have this thing just sitting around in your case for a while, once you turn it on, if it's got an orange light, you're still good to go. You got about another 12 hours. If it turns red, you have about another 6 hours or 5 hours, and then when it starts blinking, you should probably recharge it. So I'm glad that Rode definitely gave you some status symbols so you know if you need to be recharging it or not. So let's talk about the other features, because there's so much in this freaking microphone. So you have a low cut filter at 75 and 150, and then you also have a high frequency boost, because if you're in a really big, huge blimp or wind muff and it's cutting away the high frequencies, you can boost it so that you can, get a nice, good audio recording. You also have a safety track option, which is really, really awesome for those moments when you just don't know if you're going to suddenly hear a huge loud noise and you need to cut to a safety track. So instead of your recorder doing it, you can just do it through the microphone. And then there's also this -20 dB padding. So if you're at like a rock concert and you're trying to get good audio, turn on that -20 dB and you're going to be able to capture all the sounds without any distortion. And last but not least, it does do really well in terms of the manual analog gain that you can roll around here. Generally speaking, for a normal setup where the microphone is probably about, I would say 9 inches away, 10 inches away in this setup, I have it set to about 9.5 decibels, or gain, if you will, and that seems to do quite good. Once you go up to 15, it's a super loud signal, and that definitely helps when you're going into an external recorder. But for the most part, you're probably just going to keep it at about 9 or 9.5. And that being said, let's go to the sound quality test real quick. I am testing this in 2 different ways. I'm testing it at the 9.5, which is approximately where you will be for normal speaking dialogue, but I also have it at 15 to see just how good it can do in terms of pushing down the audio preamp. So without further ado, let's go to those tests real quick. Again, this is going into my makeshift sound booth so that we can kill off the reverberance of this room so you can really hear what this microphone is doing. What's going on, everybody? You're watching Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker, where the answers comes first, the reasons come last, but we're constantly and always still learning. You're currently listening to the Rode Videomic NTG with its internal gain at +9 inside my makeshift sound box. What's going on, everybody? You're watching Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker, where the answers comes first, the reasons come last, but we're constantly and always still learning. You're currently listening to the Rode Videomic NTG with its internal gain at +15 inside my makeshift sound box. You done messed up, Aaron! 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 Okay guys, so now you're listening to the Rode Videomic NTG. Of course, there's a highway behind me, so I'm gonna prop this up here. So we're approximately about 12 inches away, and this is what it sounds like when a highway is literally behind me and I have this shotgun mic angled down this way. And now we're gonna flip the camera towards the other side, so I'm not kind of pointing this microphone at the highway. All right, so now you're listening to the Rode Videomic NTG. Again, the highway is now behind the shotgun mic, so I'm gonna go ahead and prop this up again, approximately about 12 inches away. And so this is how the Rode Videomic NTG handles a bunch of exterior sounds with a highway literally, I would say, 100 feet away from here. After listening to all the sound tests, I can say that the Rode does really well in terms for my voice, because my voice has this really deep rumble, but it also has a little bit of nasal, and it seems to boost the frequencies in the right areas to make my voice sound super clear. I actually really enjoy what my voice sounds like coming from this thing. In terms of its directionalness, this is very, very directional because it seems to cut out a lot of the noise around it, which is definitely good and definitely something you want coming out of a shotgun microphone. Where it kind of falls a little bit is if you do blast it in with a lot of noise, and you don't have the analog gain set to where it needs to be to handle such a thing, it does distort. Because you can hear it in when I was just like talking outside, holding it against, pretty close. And I wasn't necessarily talking super loud, but I definitely was pushing the 9.5, having it that close outside, and I'm trying to speak over the traffic noise. So when you're recording, you definitely want to make sure that your analog gain is set to handle such a thing. Whether you're using the safety track or in terms of the scream test, you're probably going to want to hit that -20 dB pad so that when you do scream at it, it's not going to distort like you heard with the volume at 9.5 and volume at 15. That definitely could not handle it. But other than that, this does a really good job in terms of capturing a good audio quality. So what's the bottom line here? Is the Rode Videomic NTG something that I would recommend to you for your overall filmmaking kit? And it's a definite yes, but there's also some no's in terms of what situation you're in terms of your filmmaking development. So we're gonna get to all that, but basically yes, because for $250, this thing is so versatile. Whether you're plugging it into your camera or plugging it into your computer and using it as a USB microphone for voiceovers, for ADR sessions, or even just Skype phone calls and the headphone port works along with it, that's just awesome that you can use it in both realms. Not only that, the internal battery works up to 30 hours and you do have status lights to tell you if you're in the first 12 hours, the second 12 hours, the last 5 hours, and then the last hour where you really need to be charging it. And then of course you have all the other features that I talked about in the beginning, the safety track, the negative 20 dB padding, the analog gain controls, the low cut filters, the high frequency boost. It has basically everything you could ever want all wrapped up into this awesome shotgun mic. And last but not least, the fact that if it's plugged into your DSLR, it turns on by itself and it turns off by itself. So there's not a lot to hate about this thing. And the voice, in terms of how it captures the voice, I think it does an amazing job. And its sound rejection of this room also does a really good job as well. So now let's get to who is it for and where are the no's in terms of, you know, who I see this is not for. Let's actually start with the no's. So if you are a beginning YouTuber, I would say no. You shouldn't be spending $250 on your audio kit, but that's not just it, because you're probably gonna get a boom arm like I am, and then you have an extension cable going into your camera. Yes, you could put it on top of your camera, but depending on how far your camera is set up, that's not the most ideal solution. So right here is about 10 inches. I'm gonna duck down quite a bit here, because if your camera is about 3 feet away or so, this is what it's gonna sound like. And while it might work for you, but I would say you definitely want it as close as you can just out of frame. So you're probably gonna need a boom arm. When it's all said and done, you're looking at spending maybe close to $300 for the whole setup. As a beginning YouTuber, no. I would tell you to check out my Andy Cine M1 video, which is this tiny little micro shotgun microphone, and you can get the whole boom setup and get it about $60 to $70, and you're good to go as a beginning YouTuber. And dare I say it, it kind of processes my voice the same as this Rode Videomic NTG. And to prove it, what's going on, everybody? You're watching Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker. What's going on, everybody? You're watching Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker. I don't know. Sounds kind of similar to me. So I'd say beginning YouTuber, spend 60 to 70 bucks for your audio setup like this instead of spending almost 300 some dollars. So beginning YouTuber, no. If you're a beginning narrative filmmaker, it's also a no for me. And the reason I'm saying that is because as a beginning narrative filmmaker, you're probably not going to have a big crew to start. It might just literally be you and the actors. At that point in time, I would say you want to start off with a wireless set, because a wireless set allows you to operate everything on your own. Because if you have a shotgun mic like this is assuming that you have a boom operator that's going to be booming everything for you. And if it's going straight into your camera, you want to make sure the boom operator doesn't tangle anything and accidentally yank the cords out. So that's something you need to consider. And if you're a beginning filmmaker, chances are you don't have an external audio recorder yet, of which, again, you need the boom operator to be holding and all that other good stuff. So you can see you're starting to spend a lot of money just to use this shotgun microphone. Whereas with a wireless set, you can have the receiver on your camera, you have full control, and you don't have to worry about having more people on set. So as a beginning narrative filmmaker, definitely not. So let's talk about the seasoned filmmaker, whether it's YouTube or narrative filmmaking. If you're a seasoned YouTuber, then yes, you've worked hard for a whole year, you've been putting out your content, you're doing something to get monetized, what have you. And at that point in time, you're saying, you know what, I want to get something a little bit better. In that case, yeah, definitely check out the Rode Videomic NTG. I think it will do just great for YouTubers, especially the fact that, again, It's got a really nice directional quality. It's got really awesome noise rejection. And the fact that basically it turns on and off with your camera, 30 hours of battery life, you're pretty much good to go and just leaving it right there. So definitely as an advanced YouTuber, you're good to go. As a filmmaker, if you already have a wireless kit and you've been looking to get your first shotgun microphone, I would actually say, yeah, I would say definitely check this one out, because for $250, you get a whole lot. Some of the other shotgun microphones out there, they don't provide their own power. So you do need to have a really nice external recorder that's able to pump up the preamps without getting a whole lot of noise. And when you're looking at those kind of external recorders, it's somewhere between, I want to say like $500 to $700 some dollars for those type of recorders. So it gets up there. But because of this thing and how loud it can send a signal and capture audio, even if you have a cheap Tascam DR40 that costs anywhere from $99 to $150, because it's feeding such a hot signal, and then you can turn the Tascam preamp down to basically 0 or 1, your noise floor is going to be very, very low, and it's going to be pretty clean coming out of the gate. Not only that, if for some odd reason your 2-channel recorder does not have a safety track feature, then what you can do is basically get a stereo splitter of some kind going into your Videomic NTG, and then have channel 1 be whatever it is that you set everything to, and then channel 2 is basically inherently going to be the safety channel coming straight from the microphone itself. And because of that, especially with the explosiveness of sudden sounds, having it done at the microphone level is definitely much better than doing it at the later, at the recorder level. Because the recorder level, if it's blown out at the microphone, it's going to be blown out at the recorder. So that's why I'm thinking, as a narrative filmmaker looking for your very first shotgun microphone, and you might not have the best external audio recorder in the world, this thing definitely does a good job. Not only that, if you ever find yourself like, hey, I need to go over to someone's house, I need to get their voiceover for something, or maybe I need to do an ADR session, instead of having to bring an external recorder with you and your laptop to play the scene back for an ADR session, you can literally just bring your laptop and this microphone, hopefully some sound padding to kind of deaden everything out. But because the sound rejection is so good, it might actually be okay to kind of get that little room tone. But having this plugged into your computer, open up Audacity or Adobe Audition, whatever your audio recording software of choice is, and then being able to use it as a USB microphone right there and then, you don't need to bring any extra stuff, and you can get everything right there on the day. And it's coming from the exact same shotgun microphone that you used on set. Because again, if you had a traditional shotgun microphone, you would need to bring the audio recorder, and maybe that audio recorder could work as a USB audio interface, but essentially you have to bring everything to power up that specific microphone. Whereas again, this thing, it doesn't matter. It has its own power, and when you're plugging into the computer, it's powered indefinitely. So I know that's a lot that I just talked about, but as a filmmaker, narrative filmmaker looking for their first shotgun microphone at $250, you cannot beat the features on this thing. And hey, that is it for this week, everybody. If this video has made all the influence in your purchasing decisions, I would truly appreciate it if you check out my Amazon affiliate links down below. Again, this costs nothing extra to you. It just gives me a little compensation so I can continue making videos like this for you. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave it down below. I will get to them as fast as I can. And until then, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.